Hello everyone, my name is Maradona. I'm the Food and Beverage Service Trainer at Classic Hospitality Training Institute. Today the topic is the communication with customer and colleagues. However, I'll be emphasizing more on the communication etiquette that you require for a food and beverage service personnel. So let's begin with the communication. What is communication? So communication is the process of exchanging of messages between a receiver and a sender. Communication, though you know a different what is food and beverage, how to serve food and all those things, but if you don't have any communication skill, then you can't communicate with your customer. So it is the foundation of all the factors that it is based. So poor communication end up with the confusing in the customer, and the customer might get it in a wrong way. So you have to be very good communicator. So let's discuss about the types of communication. There are two types of communication. There are the verbal communication and the non-verbal communication. In verbal communication, whatever you are speaking right now is a verbal communication, and whatever you are writing, the writing communication also comes under the verbal communication. And in the non-verbal communication, the body language, the sign, the expression, the facial expression, what you are showing is also a type of communication. So only the speaking, only the writing is not only the communication process. The messages, how you're standing, how you're sitting, your hand gesture, your facial expression, it's all are conveying a message to a receiver. So it is also very important to a sender how they are receiving the message. So you have to be very careful while you are in a restaurant. So it says that communication make a deal and it can break a deal also. So you have to be very careful while communicating with your customer and your colleagues. So there are a few components in the communication. Communication requires a sender, a receiver, a message, and above all those three things, you require a feedback, which is very important. If you don't receive a feedback after, for example, right now I'm speaking, I'm giving a lecture to all of you. If you don't give us a comment, if you don't give us a feedback about how I'm performing right now, or how, for example, if you are giving a service to a guest, and if you don't give a feedback, take a feedback from a guest, then it is the communication process is not complete. So communication process is complete when you get a feedback from a customer or from your colleagues. So customer, for example, you are a customer or whatever you take, you are a customer or you are a service staff. Giving feedback is very important. So how to give a feedback? Constructive feedback, very important. Constructive feedback, how to give a feedback is very important. So when you give a feedback to someone, never emphasis on a negative points. So you have to always give a feedback in a sandwich mode. First you have to give a good points on the top, and in the middle a way of improvement, area of improvement where you need to improve, and on the top, if you improve in this area, then it will be better for you. So it will be, you have to give in a sandwich mode. Good, area of improvement, and the good way. So this is how the communication process is complete. So if you give only the negative feedback, then it is not a communication, it's a criticism. Okay, so in a communication, listening is very important. Listening. So what do you mean by listening? If you don't listen to a guest, then communication process totally blank. So listening. We have a bit confusion about hearing and listening also. So hearing means, like, for example, right now we are listening sound of a fan in this room, sound of AC in this room, the bird chirping outside, or the vehicle running outside. We are hearing that only. However, you are hearing me right now, that is, you are listening to me. So that's why when we listen a song, we say we are listening to a song. So listening means hearing plus concentration. So there are different types of listening. First is the selective listening. There are different types of individual is there in a classroom or in different type of listener. For example, first one is the selective listening. This type of people will select few points from you, what you are saying right now. They'll select a few points, whatever they are interested, they'll select that points and they'll listen on that points only. So the second one is the ignoring listening. Ignoring means he will listen or she will listen, but he will ignore. It will enter in his ear and it will go out from the other ear. That's mean the ignoring listening. And the third one is the pretending listening. Pretending listening means he pretends to be listening to you. In a classroom, there are different students are there. They pretend to listen, but they actually don't listen to you. That is known as the pretending listening. And the fourth one is the active listening. Very, very important. So if you want to be an active listener, there are a few points that you have to be active listener. I'll discuss this later. After this type of listening. And the fifth one is the empathetic listening. Empathetic listening is listening with a feeling. You have to stay in the other foods wherever. Empathetic listening is very important when you are handling a complaints from a guest. If your guest is complaining about the food, if the guest is saying about the food is not good and all those things, then you have to empathize. Empathize means you have to feel what the guest is feeling in that moment. If the food is not good, you can't smile in the guest at that moment. You have to feel that how would you feel in that moment. So such type of listening is known as empathetic listening. So what are points that you have to concentrate if you want to become an active listener? So active listener, first point is do not interrupt in between. Whenever a teacher or a lecturer is giving a class or any lecture in a classroom, or whenever a guest is saying something to you, don't interrupt in between. First, listen it very carefully. So, points to become a good listener. First, do not interrupt. If you want to say something, just raise up your hand. In the classroom, you have to raise up your hand. Or if you want to say something to a guest, let the guest complete first, and after that you have to say it. And the second point is, don't jump to conclusion. Never jump to conclusion. Let the guest complete. Let the lecturer complete his or her sentence first. And the third point is, never judge the speaker and be biased towards them. For example, there are lots of politicians out there. For example, if you love the BJP, then you are willing to hear only the BJP, not the Congress. Something like that. Don't be biased. Whosoever is speaking, you have to concentrate on them. So don't be biased towards them. You should never judge who are speaking at that moment. So whatever you are doing is you have to listen what he or she is speaking. And the next point is take note to focus. You have to take notes. Very important. When you take notes, when you're taking order from a guest, we take a notes, right? We take notes in a KOT. We are writing it in. So what you like to have, you like to have this chicken biryani, butter chicken, whatever it is, the guest order, we write it down in a notepad. That is a process of active listening. If you don't listen carefully, if the guest is giving you order, if you don't write it down, then that is not a part of active listening. If you want to be a good listener, then you have to try to write a notes. And last one, very important, ask questions. Ask question. If you don't understand anything when the guest is saying something, you ask question. So there are two types of question. That is the open-ended question and the close-ended question. What is open-ended and the close-ended question? Open-ended means the answer may be varied. It may be a vast. For example, sir, what do you like to have today? So this is known as the open-ended question. If it is the close-ended question, for example, the guest has already given you the order. And at that moment, sir, you have ordered for this, the chicken biryani, the chicken butter masala, the rice, and anything else, sir. So this is the close-ended question. Close-ended question means the answer should be only yes or no. So to be a good listener, you have to process all those things. I'll repeat it again. Do not interrupt. Do not jump to conclusion, do not judge, take notes to focus, and ask question to a guest. Whenever after completing of taking the order, ask the guest, sir, anything else, sir? Would you like to have this, that, and all those things. So these are the few about the listening to become a good listener. So, communication, very important in food and beverage service. If you want to communicate with your customer, with your colleagues. Very important. So it is the foundation, as I told you. So be strong in your communication. You have to be you should know the basic English, the basic Wiz, the basic whatever, all those things. So thank you very much. This is all about the communication, about today's topic. Thank you.